Hi everyone, today we're going to be taking a look at the first four states and my personal predictions of all of those four states, taking into account the Real Clear Politics polling data, leads, and some other smaller factors in each of these individual states. It will get harder when we get to Nevada and South Carolina to predict because it will depend on what happens in Iowa and New Hampshire, but I will try and keep it as simple as possible. So Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, and South Carolina, will be taking a look at those first four states. Okay, in Iowa, this is pretty much the data page, and then on the next page of Iowa, we'll go through each of the candidates and their rankings, and then we'll have those slides, 2 slides per state, one with all this information, and then the other showing the rankings. So, Real Clear Politics average, Bernie Sanders right now leading 25%, Joe Biden at 22%, Pete Buttigieg at 17%, and Elizabeth Warren at 13.5%. So what do all of these plus numbers mean? This means how much the candidates have improved within the past 14 days. So we go into Real Clear Politics and click on the 14 days, and we'll see at the beginning and at the end how much they've improved or not improved, whether it's a positive or negative split. So in this case for Sanders, it's a positive split of 14.7, so he's up 4.7% in the past 2 weeks. Joe Biden is at 22.0, he's up 1.3. Pete Buttigieg is at third at 17% at negative 1.7, a negative split. And Elizabeth Warren is at 13.5, a negative 2.5% split. Okay, so that's the Real Clear Politics average. So next we're going to take a look at some of the individual polls and just who's leading them. So in the latest Emerson College poll, Sanders is leading +9. USA Today / Suffolk poll has Biden +6. New York Times Siena College poll shows Sanders up 7. And CBS News YouGov shows Sanders up 1. So those are the 4 latest polls done in Iowa. And then as for some of the minor candidates in the Real Clear Politics average, Klobuchar is at 8.5, up 1.5%. Yang is at 3.0, down 0.3%. Steyer is at 2.8, staying the same. Gabbard at 1.8, having a negative split of 0.2, and Bloomberg at 0.25, so barely registering there. Okay, so overall polling takeaways. Sanders, it's fair to say, is surging right now in Iowa. He up 4.7% in the past just 2 weeks. That's very impressive for the senator, and he's really seemed to be having quite sort of a moment right now. He's getting more positive press. He has the momentum right now. Another thing, Warren sliding. She is down 2.5%. And if you look at the bigger picture, she's down even more. And I would say in Iowa, it's really down to Sanders versus Biden, really duking it out at the top. And a top 4 race, just 4 people who have a chance, those being Sanders, Biden, Buttigieg, and Warren. Those are the only 4 people who have a chance to win. Everyone, Klobuchar, Yang, Steyer, Gabbard, and Bloomberg all have 0% chance to win in my view. Other factors, the 3 senators here, Sanders, Warren, and Klobuchar, are stuck in the impeachment trial. They can't campaign except on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday. So I think the campaigns are going to try and maximize that weekend time. But still, you'd prefer to have some more time. Buttigieg and Biden are campaigning. That could give a small advantage. Sanders could bring out new voters to caucus, and these are not represented in the polls. But, it's fair to say Warren has a really good Iowa ground operations. People are saying, look out for Elizabeth Warren. And Klobuchar could give votes to Biden, and then Gabbard and Yang could give votes to Sanders. So that's also interesting to take a look at. For example, Klobuchar's at 8.5%. Where do you think most of her voters would go? I would say 65% would go to Biden. The rest would probably go to either Buttigieg or Warren. And then Gabbard and Yang, I think, overwhelmingly would go to Bernie Sanders. So Yang at 3%, Gabbard at 1.8%, so that's a total of 4.8%. Probably a few would go to other candidates. Probably, Sanders would get a very solid 3.5 extra percent just from Yang and Gabbard people who don't make the threshold. Klobuchar, Biden might get a bit of a bump, maybe 4% would go to Biden, and then maybe 5% goes to Biden, and then 3.5 goes to, maybe 3 goes to Warren, half goes to Buttigieg, right? Anyway, so that's all the data, and now into my predictions. So this is my top 5. So 5, obviously going to be one of the minor candidates, and that's going to be Amy Klobuchar. Amy Klobuchar, I mean, she's not, I don't think she'll make it past 10% overall, but Iowa's probably her strongest early state, given its close proximity to her home state. Now for 4th place, where we're really getting into it, I expect 4th place to go to Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren. Yes, she does have a good ground operation, but the momentum is not with her right now, and she really seems to be sliding a lot in the polls as of right now. In 3rd place, we have Pete Buttigieg. So Buttigieg, as you know, I'm not really elaborating much on the candidates because we already went over the candidates in the previous slide. Buttigieg, I mean, he's doing okay, not amazing in the state of Iowa, but it is probably his best early state. He seems to be sliding just like Warren a little bit in the past week. Maybe regaining a little bit might help in the lead up in the final week in Iowa. In 2nd place, we have Joe Biden. So Biden, we see Biden's really recovered. He was in 4th place in Iowa at one point, and at one point I expected him to be in 4th place in an earlier prediction of Iowa. However, he really seems to have regained his footing in the state of Iowa, and then obviously Bernie Sanders, top of the road in Iowa. I do see him winning this caucus as of right now. He has the momentum right now, it's fair to say, and he's been gaining in the polls. If you take a look here, Bernie up 4.7 in the last 4.7. He has been leading in a lot of the recent polls, 4 out of the 5 or 3 out of the 4. He's actually been leading, so it's gonna get interesting, and he'll also be able to bring in new voters into the caucus, along with some of those Gabbard and Yang supporters who won't make this threshold. And another thing to consider is Elizabeth Warren supporters, where they might go. Given the recent divisions, some of them may go to Buttigieg. I would say probably half of Warren supporters would actually end up voting for Senator Bernie Sanders, caucusing for Senator Bernie Sanders in the caucus, which would give him an even stronger boost going into the next state. So I will be splitting this up. All of these caucus will be done by the I will be doing them Iowa, and then each of them I'll be doing 1 week out from the caucus day. So right now it's the 28th, and we'll be publishing them so whenever 1 week out is from each of the caucuses. So that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you for watching. Comment down your suggestions below, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.